Taking care can be so easy. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Whether you're family, friend, or neighbor, come on, take a stand. A hug, a smile, a patience, or sometimes just to hold our hand.
A message from the Caribbean Child Support Initiative, a program of CARICAD with support from the Bernard Bandler Foundation.
Take good care of the children.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. Got it? Taking care of us can be so easy.
Take good care of the children.
Welcome back to our second panel discussion on the Roving Caregivers Program. You know, early childhood education is really an investment into the future, not only for the individuals at the micro level, but for investor countries as well. Studies have shown early childhood education has tremendous benefit on the socio-economic landscape, and it is largely for this reason that the sustainability of the RCP program is now so crucial. Financial contributions have been so far been made by UNICEF, the Canada Fund, and the National Bank of Dominica. And we do know that the Bernard Van Leer Foundation, of course, has been the main financier. Would love now to introduce you to our panel for this second part of our program. Didacus Jules, who was with us before, is the Registrar and CEO of the Caribbean Examinations Council. And we're pleased to welcome, joining us again now, is Milton Lawrence, CEO and ECIC Holdings, which is a company owned by 10 indigenous banks regionally. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Lawrence, I wonder, you know, when we speak of sustainability, there is the risk that it might mean different things to different people. Can you clarify what do we want to mean by sustainability with this program?
Well, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
And yeah, the issue of sustainability is one that needs some clarification. It's a concept that we have been bandying around the region for a very long time. And I know that in the past, the sustainability issue is the focal point for non-governmental organizations. In that context, we normally meant that if there was a program run by an NGO or the NGO itself, sustainability meant its ability to continue to operate the program, and that meant being able to generate sufficient resources from the operations of the organization or the program to do so. In the case of the Roving Caregivers program, I think the context of this program requires a redefinition or a review of the concept of sustainability. And in my view, I see it as the ability of this particular program to perpetuate itself.
Yes.
The focus of the program is the early childhood, the 0 to 3-year-old kids that are vulnerable. And I think we need to see the sustainability of that program in the context of the ability of a country or a government to be able to ensure that that program or the interventions that target these kids continue over a long period of time.
The success and benefits of this program are outstanding, and in a way, Dr. Didacus Jules, it's now positioning us to shift our approach to our focus on where we begin with a child's education.
A number of innovations that will help to make that possible, to make it possible for the program to expand and to deliver, particularly to the vulnerable in the Caribbean. But I think it's important to know that the seeds of sustainability have been there all along.
Yes.
What is unique about the approach being taken by the Caribbean Support Initiative in that regard is to look at the landscape and see that across the region, we have had traditionally those parents who can afford to pay have paid for daycare and childcare, early childcare development activities. The state has, to a limited extent, done some provision. So a number of actors across the social landscape have already been investing in early childhood. What is needed now is a new thrust that combines all resources in a more holistic way to address the issue and paying particular attention to ensure that the most vulnerable, who are therefore at the most risk, are not left behind.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting, though, wouldn't you say, that most of the Caribbean has always focused on primary education, and this is now saying that we need to start a lot earlier. do we have the kind of institutional framework or approaches, say, from governments, private sector, civil society organizations? Because if there is not enough knowledge on the ground about this reality, will people respond to what we are asking?
Well, I think that's a very crucial question. Traditionally, we've seen the school system as starting at the age of 5
yes.
and going up to 15. And in fact, there's an expectation from the public that the government, the state, will ensure the provision of education from the age of 5. And what I think is that the research that has just come up in front of us and said to us, look, the kids between the ages of 0 and 3 are vulnerable, and it is critical that we intervene at that stage. What we need to do is to put this information on the table on the public domain, and so that we can begin to see the role of the state and all roles in general as intervening not from the age of 5, but actually from birth.
Yes.
And I think that from the perspective of the private sector, even in times of depression such as now, continue, I think, to be very generous with their donations to a number of causes. But I don't think that this one is on the radar. And I think it's important that we begin to put it on the table for consideration. And I'm very satisfied that a number of private sector, corporate citizens and participants in the private sector will contribute to it.
Yes. The RCP definitely has the ability to cost-effectively educate young children and their parents by going directly into the participants' homes and communities. The RCP has provided opportunities that level the playing field for educational access, and this is very, very important in the Caribbean region. In each RCP country, there has been different levels of private and public sector support. However, the longevity of this program is now threatened as the principal sponsor, the Bernard Van Leer Foundation, will be phasing out its support in the year 2011. Sustainability of the roving caregiver program cannot be underscored enough. Coming up in our next section, we will discuss the role of governments with the roving caregiver program. Do stay tuned.